find the pictures of this, like find the SKU, all this kind of stuff. And there would be a team that would do manual processing of
that
this.
unstructured data.
So to convert that piece of paper into a CSV, it will take at least 1 week. 2023 again. This is a toy. It's never going to work. Gen AI is not going to be able to do anything like this for us. And I was like, all right, let's see if this is true. And so I just like closed myself in a meeting room for like a couple of days and built this POC that would convert 80% of our catalog in minutes.
Wow. And simplicity is of the most important asset, especially considering that most of the world has not caught up with the AI wave yet.
There needs to be a world 5 years from now where if you have a laptop and you speak a language, you should be able to have your agent. That's it. Super simple. And a nugget of this is available right now. It's like you already can do this.
Hello and welcome everyone to our very first episode of the Aparavi podcast here in our San Francisco office. Today I'm super excited because I'm joined by Daniele, the founder of Toolhouse.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about what Toolhouse is, the tool data space in the AI ecosystem, and lots more. So let's get into it. Daniele, you have quite an interesting journey. You started, doing DevRel at Meta. Back then it was still Facebook, right?
Oh yeah.
Before that you worked.
I'm that old.
Yeah. You don't take the looks though. You did a couple companies by yourself before. We already talked about that previously too. And then I think the last company you did was Ghost, right? Which was more in the space of.
That was retail. It wasn't my company. I was the head of product there.
Yeah.
And they were basically trying to disrupt a very old, ancient industry, which is basically the wholesale apparel and retail. So there's a ton of stuff that gets unsold. And when we don't sell this stuff, it just simply disappears from the shelves of a Ross or a TJ Maxx or a store. It either goes on a warehouse or on a landfill. And so Ghost said, okay, we can actually turn this into money and resell this. And they started to build this marketplace for excess inventory. But the industry was like really the dinosaur of that kind of sector, the kind of vertical, because people would use like pen and paper to do inventory. It was like 50 years old. And so they said, what if we actually bring some technology into this and disrupt the market that way? And so I went there to bootstrap the product and eng design research operations, which I did.
And then you pivoted from doing that into founding Toolhouse, which is a little bit in a different way. So when I stumbled across that in your resume, I was quite interested. Can you tell me a bit more about like how that shift came?
Yeah, I didn't want to become a founder. I never wanted to become a founder. It just happened to me, so it's insane how people want to do this, because it's their calling in life. This, for me, was just a mission to accomplish, and nobody was accomplishing it. And it started at Ghost, actually. Like at Ghost, I started to figure out a way to process this pen and paper inventory. Like we would literally receive from a warehouse their inventory, and it was just like a picture taken with an iPhone of a piece of paper, and that would say 40,000 jackets, black. And you needed to obviously, process this data, add some description, put some pictures, find the pictures of this, like find the SKU, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And there would be a team that would do manual processing of this.
That unstructured data.
So to convert that piece of paper into a CSV, it would take at least 1 week.
Wow.
At least. And obviously, the longer the inventory or the fewer the data points, the harder it was, or the more time consuming. And so I was like, well, there's this thing called AI. It was like 2023 at that point. So GPT 3.5 was the newest thing. Yeah. And I was like, maybe we should give this thing a go and try to figure out if we can plug ChatGPT to some APIs that allow us to do this. The flow would be, let's process this data into like at least unstructured text data. So just process this as a PDF, like a
OCR,
usually OCR, then from there I figure out, okay, at least what category is it? So is that apparel? Is that footwear? Is that accessories? And based on that, then figure out what is the data enrichment strategy, and the AI should be able to do that. So at the time, agents didn't exist. We were thinking about co-pilots or assistants. We had the ChatGPT completions API because we were doing inference completion like just 2 years ago. It's insane. And so I was like, what if we can actually make this assistant to work with other tools that we use on our day-to-day? And I talked to my VP of Eng, which I hope is going to listen to this because it's going to be fun. And he was like, at the time, 2023 again, this is a toy. It's never going to work. Gen AI is not going to be able to do anything like this for us. And I was like, all right, let's see if this is true. And so I just like closed myself in a meeting room for like a couple of days and built this POC that would convert 80% of our catalog in minutes.
Wow. What was the tech stack that you used? So
it was literally Python, VS Code, just put a Jupyter notebook. And then for the API integrations, I had to build this API integrations myself. And even with that, something I run on my laptop, like 2 days later, I showed it to the CEO, and the CEO was like, holy shit. Went to talk to the co-founder saw it, holy shit moment again. Head of sales came in, and the day after, the VP of Eng came to me and says, okay, we need to do this.
Wow.
We need to get an AI strategy. And he said one thing, he said like, okay, to do this, we need to do it professionally. To do it professionally, we need to build our own team. So we need 1 PM, 3 engineers, 1 data scientist. We need to build our data pipeline. We need to get our own inference. We need to do our training. It's going to be at least 1.5 million just to set up everything. I was like, fuck this shit. It's not going to work. Let's improve on what we have. We're still a startup. We were doing our Series A. We just raised the B actually together. And I wrote this AI strategy on how to kind of do the walk crawl, the crawl walk run, and then I left because I saw the problem. Like if a company like this struggles and needs to spend 6-7 figures just to build the
simple data pipeline,
that's not going to work. It's not going to work for the world.
Wow.
And so I was like,
there's a problem.
There's a big problem. And so I started to figure out how to make it work. And I started a different startup. It wasn't even Toolhouse at the time. And what happened at that point was that I still I wanted to be very pointed at data enrichment, And so what I started to do was figuring out the integration part, the data to agents, and then making sure the agent could call the APIs reliably. That was, again, before NCP was even a thing. And I was struggling doing this thing,
It's a hard problem to solve. I mean, we deal with that type of problem every day. And
so I spent 80% of my time just figuring this piece out. And I didn't have time for the interface. I didn't have time for sales. And I went to my network. And people previously built with me, like when I was at Facebook, I built part of the Facebook API. Then I did the same when I was at Twitter. When we started with they became Twitter, and then I survived
the cuts.
Yes, the Elon hammer, and so I had a bunch of developers who built on top of these APIs, and we had a very good relationship, and we became kind of friends or part of our networks. And I asked them, is it just me? Have I become like stupid all of a sudden? Have I lost it? Like what happened to my computer science degree? Or is it so hard to build for AI? And pretty much everybody, more than 3/4 of people told me, yeah, this is so hard. I will pay for something like this. And I was like, holy shit.
So they told you specifically they'd pay for a quality data pipeline to help them with that extraction process.
They would pay for a simple solution, like 3 lines of code that would help you build an agent and run it at night. Because that's the big problem. Like, regardless, that we have this huge empowering technology that supposedly could do everything. Yet, it needs your supervision and it doesn't work when you close your laptop. So it's not useful. Like you need to work more to make it work, and it's expensive as fuck. Like, to be honest, it's super expensive. We had a conversation with the model provider, and I already posted this. People have guessed what the model provider is. So whoever is listening to this, I ask you this question: who do you think the model provider is? And we were growing like crazy at the beginning. This was at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
And if we stopped growing, if all of a sudden our growth went flat, we would have spent at about 150, I think, $150,000 in tokens alone, just in inference. And so we spoke to them, but before speaking to them, I told my co-founder, hey, our solution is multi-model. So we work across the board. You can switch the model, you can bring the model you want. And
multimodality, you need image processing, video processing, text.
Yeah, but also people are looking for privacy and reliability. So they want to swap whatever model we use with theirs sometimes. Then we support that. Well, that means that behind the scenes, we need to work on optimizing the NCP tool chain, our prompts, the user prompt, to make sure that it works with the models we support. Because you can't just swap one and expect the same performance, you know? And so I told my co-founder, hey, I know what's going to happen here. They're not going to give us anything. So let's prepare. And it was like Friday at 3 p.m. We get into this call with this partnership manager, and then we told them, hey, we're spending $150,000 with you. Is there anything we can do? Like, I don't want a discount. I don't want credits. I just want some co-marketing, maybe. That will mean the world for a company like ours. What do you say? And they said, no. It's like, you need to spend at least $250,000, and maybe we'll give you a retweet here and there. I was like, okay, thank you for your time. Bye. I think the call ended at 3:18 p.m. and we switched to another provider.
Wow.
We went to that provider. We showed the dashboard with our usage, and it was like, shit on our usage. And they were like, here, $250,000 in credits.
Wow.
And so that was interesting, you know, to say the least. But that made me, that made me think, who the fuck has this money in the world? Like, AI is this big tsunami. It's going to revolutionize everything, but only if you have $250,000, you know? So what about the people in Europe? What about Southeast Asia? What about Hong Kong, Singapore? Those people are not going to be able to afford it. Like, the average salary of an engineer in Germany is like 53,000 euro. It's not 500,000 like Anthropic or OpenAI are giving people here in the bubble. So those kind of pricing and fees are completely misaligned and don't incentivize this kind of adoption in mass.
That's actually a great point, because now we're getting a little bit into the mission of Toolhouse, right? The democratization of AI. So walk me through that, because I mean, there's a certain level of cost that just comes with inference, right? And there's data out there that talks about how the margins of these big inference providers like OpenAI and so on are very, very slim already anyway. So it seems like maybe they're just passing on that cost to the consumer. But that would mean also, how much room would there be for a company like Toolhouse to lower that burden?
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care, because they know that you will pass the cost on to your customers, and so long as they can foot the bill, then great. In their world, they're going to act. We're all going to act as a token reseller. That's what they think, you know. And for 2 hours, I think we are going to flip this.
Okay.
Because because after the call, I was even more pissed than before. Like, I'm not playing this game because I want to take money from VCs, or I just want to fix a problem that I see. Like, this is an opportunity that people are not having. You know, right. It's like, all of a sudden they cut you off access to the internet because it's too expensive. There's no such thing as an expensive internet, you know, and there shouldn't be. So the same should be with AI. Either you get access to AI or you don't. In this case, and they don't care. They just want the money, you know. So the mission of Toolhouse is to really democratize AI for everybody. It means agent development for everybody, and it means it has to be simple, and it has to be affordable. So how do we do it? We do it because we built the company differently. We raise money differently. And we're building a product that fundamentally helps you with the hard part of AI. Like everybody wants to build an agent, but then they face two fundamental problems. They don't know how to build it. Like the amount of people just go to ChatGPT to use as a prompt engineer, and then they paste it back into Toolhouse. Like we fixed that. So we tell people, just build with your own words. Like I want an agent that gets into my Gmail inbox and archives all the automated sales email for me every day. Well, so what happens is inside we have an automated prompt engineer that looks at that, knows how Toolhouse works, knows what integrations we have, and prepares an agentic prompt that you can see, you can edit as well. And then you test it in a sandbox. And if it works, you're done.
You deploy it.
Yeah. Click publish, confetti, and you have an agent, an API that obviously works while you sleep because it's hosted by us. And you also get a vibe coding prompt, which is why I have this TH vibe thing, because you can just get this copy-paste prompt that you can put into Lovable, Bolt, V0, all these vibe coding tools that teaches those tools how to connect with Toolhouse. And so you can build also your own app that's already connected into Toolhouse and uses Toolhouse as the agent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it for 1 cent per call. Just 1 cent.
That's very impressive, yeah. Let me ask you this next. So I think the agent and tool building landscape is quite crowded already.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think are some of the current frameworks that are broken, and like how would you propose to fix them and really stand out with your tool?
Yeah, frameworks are all broken for the fact that they are frameworks. Like I worked as I had the developer relations at Where, and as such, I had the pleasure, the privilege of working with and talking to a lot of developers, big and small, and working with kick-ass engineers. I was an engineer at Facebook as well. So us engineers, we love complexity. So when we see a new protocol, a new framework, we love it because it's complex. Because for us, it's just like a new piece of the jigsaw puzzle that you throw on the table, and we try and see if it can fit with the other 5,000 pieces we have on the table. That's basically the ultimate motivation for an engineer. I want to figure out if this thing can work. I don't know if you bump into questions like, do you do RAG? Is this dense or sparse? What's your favorite embedding algorithm? What chunking strategies do you use? And then you can talk for hours about this.
I mean, that's my bread and butter, yes.
And then you ask, but what are you trying to build? And they're like, I don't know, just trying to figure it out, So that's what's happening with AI today. There's a new technology. Engineers are naturally curious, and they are attracted by complexity. And so they like this complexity. And we saw this surge of frameworks up until 2024, up until last year, where we saw Crew, Llama Index, LangChain, A2A. Do you remember the framework OpenAI launched? That was just like probably December, And where are they now? A2A. Nobody's talking about these things anymore, because finally, slowly but surely, the market is finally consolidating into something where people understand that you don't need to do it yourself because it's too much complexity. We're back to the $1.5 million bill that a VP of Eng will get it. Why? Because that's how they justify their work. That's how you save your ass from getting laid off compared to and lose your job to a vibe coding tool. Like people need to justify the fact that you need the custom thing. But it's like, and this is the metaphor I always use, it's like AI is this new freeway, that they just built. It's new, it's shiny, you can go, for as fast as you want, and you need a car to get there. Nobody is selling you the car. They're selling you the brakes, the windshield, the engine, the steering wheel, the seats. Nobody's selling you the car. They're actually telling you, hey, do you want to drive? You have to assemble this car yourself. Mm-hmm. How does it sound? I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm a driver. I'm not a mechanic. And who's building the car? Nobody's building the car. Like, you have the engine maker, the manufacturers. You have OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Quen, Alibaba, but nobody's building the entire thing. We are building the entire thing for people. So that's basically what Toolhouse is. It's this car. It's not a Lamborghini. It's a Toyota. It's affordable, still fast, can still do 90 miles an hour. It has CarPlay and Android Auto, that you don't have to pay extra. It's already all there. All you have to do is to just open it, sit down and drive. And that's how AI should be. So that's our mission right there.
That seems very compelling. How do you, now you talked about the fact that many people, they ask for customization because partly it's been their own best interest because they want to maintain their position of being in charge of where the project goes. How do you face a conversation like that?
You can still customize it. Like, all the prompts you build in Toolhouse are your prompts, and you can change them down to the system prompt. Your conversations, the chat history, like if you need to do eval on a bunch of your users' chat, just download them, pull them. You can bring your own models. You can bring your own tools. You can add your own MCP servers. Like, we're super agnostic. It's like when I get this question, what's the level of customization of Toolhouse? I ask back, what's the level of customization at AWS? It's almost complete, because we're not in the business of dictating what to do. We're in the business of making things simpler for you to access. It's just like the difference between I run a Python script on my laptop as opposed to I run a Zapier workflow in the cloud. Like, it's easier to do it that way, and it's effective. Same here. So we are basically adding this layer of simplicity around the most fundamental problem that nobody still is addressing. Like, make this agent freaking work while asleep.
And let me ask you one more thing then. At least I found it personally myself with larger projects where you deploy your agents, you often run into data hurdles. So let's say you gave the example of sorting an personal email box. That sounds manageable to me, but once we're talking maybe about a larger corporation with hundreds of thousands of emails, or maybe a Google Drive that contains terabytes of data, how do you go about these problems?
Yeah, and I think that's where the customization comes in. Like, a product like Aparavi works pretty well to that extent, because you need to have the utmost customization flexibility. A bunch of data, like you own, how to make work from one data source to the other and then into an agent and back. And you need to have that kind of platform around. So this is one of the things we're not focusing on, and that's by design, because we want to partner with other companies and make them work, and maybe integrate them as closely as possible so that people don't have to do the integration work themselves. So if they're working with a bunch of other products that are already in their stack, they should be able to work with Toolhouse, because Toolhouse, in the end, in an environment like that, is just an API.
Right.
It's an agent editor and an API, and then all you need to
connect
purchase
via your MCP, and then you're done.
Like, we are an MCP client. Granted, we also have our MCP server and registry, so you can just get the integrations you want. We have thousands of integrations now, and what you want to do is to just connect the servers you want. Super simple. And the same thing, if Toolhouse is part of your stack, then it needs to live with the stack that you already have, including Aparavi. Why not?
Have you ever had any customer projects so far that had limitations in terms of the data accessibility? Like maybe somebody that came to you said, I really want to build this agent for my project here, and then they try to connect their APIs, let's say, let it be a Google Drive or maybe a SharePoint or anything, and then you found out that the agent wasn't performing quite as well because the data was just not cleaned or not accessible in that sense?
That's 99.9% of the times people come to us. Mm-hmm. They come to us for that, exactly because they try to do it themselves and they face the integration problem. Like, you want to build your own connector to Google Drive, then you need to go open up a key for the Google Drive, and you need to go through like an audit process. It's like a lot. So that is already 6 to 8 weeks of work and money you have to spend. And then there's the data quality. Now that you have access to all the Google Sheets in your Google Drive, how do you reconcile what's inside each one of these things? So you need to index those documents. You need to figure out what is the right documents you need to open. And then inside, it's a mess. Like how do you reference specific rows inside the document? What's the contents? Models can still hallucinate. Nobody talks about this anymore. It's just that problem. It's like dust under the carpet. Like when all of a sudden nobody talks about hallucinations, it's not because the models have gone better. They have improved for sure, but still they're bad. So the more data you put inside the model, the worse it performs, and the more you have polluted the context, the more you're spending, and the higher the likelihood of the model to hallucinate. It's really a race to the bottom, and that's what I was talking about before. Like how misaligned the goals are. Like we are paying models to produce bad results, because the more bad results they produce, the more you pay.
Right.
And so eventually you'll get your right answer eventually after you paid.
But they make you work for it.
Exactly. Right. And that's my point also with reasoning models as well. Like reasoning models are very interesting because they spit out a shit ton of tokens.
Yeah.
And you end up paying a lot more for a slightly more accurate response. And that's because like you're generating a shit ton of tokens, So we're not improving the accuracy of the output generated. We're just trying to condense as many attempts at the right answer as possible within one same API call. But yeah, like back to your point, people struggle a ton with data, making sure that they have the right data. And I think one of the challenges for data companies, and I thank God that companies like Aparavi exist, is exactly for this, because people just go blindly to Gen AI to get a summary of a large data set, but it doesn't work like that.
No. Like
you need to have a strategy to get there, but most of the benefits you get it when you get the data pipeline that gets only the right data or a good subset of the right data into the model, because that has all the advantages. Like it's not that you pay upfront for the data pipeline; you actually pay for it's something that you purchase, you implement, and it pays dividends down the line, because you're going to purchase this once. You have precise data, perfect data, and then your agent call is going to be this thin, this low, which means it saves you a ton of money down the line. And that's what you want to optimize for. You want to optimize for the number of API calls or agent calls you make, because you want to spend as low as possible for tokens. And so it's important that you have this low amount of data that goes into the model.
All right. It makes perfect sense to me. Maybe to wrap it up a little bit. So where do you see this entire ecosystem going then? I mean, obviously you're becoming a more and more important part of it with Toolhouse and the success that you guys are having with the tool that you're building. And I think simplicity is of the most important asset, especially considering that most of the world has not caught up with the AI wave yet. But if you give a 5-year outlook, where do you think we'll be?
A 5-year outlook? For me, for the world, for everybody.
For I think tools like Toolhouse, for like the agentic revolution.
I think 5 years from now, you're going to see everybody building at least one agent with Toolhouse. There cannot be any other way. Like there needs to be a world 5 years from now where if you have a laptop and you speak a language, you should be able to have your agent. That's it. Super simple. And a nugget of this is available right now. It's like you already can do this. Like if you go on our landing page, we have a bunch of a curated gallery of actual agents that have been built by our community. We're going to put ours as well. because we run Toolhouse on Toolhouse. Like we have schedulers, we have marketing agents. And one of the reasons why we can afford to be so cheap is because we are the good example for everybody to follow. Like we are one of these companies that work with agents from the get-go. Like, I don't know why all these other founders are grinding so hard. Like if their AI agents worked, they would be enjoying a little bit more of their life. And I'm doing that. You know, I'm here recording this podcast while my agent is working, you know, is reminding the team what to do. And it's amazing because it works. It fucking works. So I was super excited about this because I know that this is it's not the future. It's not the 5-year outlook. This is the 1-year outlook. You know, it's already happening. Right. And people just need to bump into Toolhouse, start building their own agents and, you know, figure out the rest. And it's so cheap. Like you can afford mistakes. You don't pay, for example, in Toolhouse right now, you don't pay for tokens unless you bring your own model. But if we can use our stock LLM and we're good to go.
Wow.
That's it.
Well, there you heard it, folks. 1 agent per day.
1 agent per day.
Thank you so much, Daniele. It's been great talking to you. And yeah, looking forward to what you guys are building next and hopefully have you here back again soon.
Can't wait.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you.